Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle a topic that I know sounds a little technical, process modeling. But trust me, it's actually a super powerful tool that pretty much anyone in any business can use.
You know that feeling, right? When you're deep inside a huge project and you're just lost. You're not totally sure how your piece of the puzzle fits with everyone else's. Or maybe you're wondering why a task that seems simple ends up taking like a dozen steps. It is so easy to get lost in the weeds. Well, what you need is a map. Seriously. A map that lets you see the whole landscape of your business, from way up in the clouds all the way down to the individual streets. And guess what? That is exactly what process modeling gives you. Okay, so let's start our journey way up high. Let's call it the 500-foot view. From up here, we're not squinting at the details. Nope. We are all about the big picture. We want to see the entire system and how all the major pieces connect.
So what even is process modeling really? Well, at its heart, it's just a way of drawing a standardized picture to show how work actually gets done. Think of it like a visual language that helps literally everyone get on the same page about a series of steps, from the easiest little task to a super complex workflow.
Right, so stick with me on this flying analogy. Imagine you're hovering 500 feet over your own town. You can't make out individual people walking on the sidewalk, right? But what you can see is the whole neighborhood, the main roads, how all the different parts of town connect. That is a high-level view. It's all about context, the big picture. Let's take an e-commerce site as an example. From this high-level view, you're not tracking every single mouse click. Not at all. What you see are the major players in the system. You've got the customer, the shopping cart, the payment process, and then the shipping folks who get that box to your door. The big pieces. Okay, let's start our descent. We're coming down to about 100 feet now. And from this altitude, things start to get a lot clearer, don't they? We can see more structure, and we can start to make some really, really important distinctions about the landscape we're mapping out.
And this brings up our first key concept. That high-level view, that gives you the why, the big picture, the context for everything. But the ground-level view, that gives you the how, the nitty-gritty, step-by-step details. And you absolutely need both to get the full story.
The next big distinction is all about time. See, you can make an as-is model. That's basically a snapshot of how things work right now, warts and all. But then you can also create a to-be model. And that's your vision for the future, how you want things to work. This is such a powerful way to actually see and plan for making things better. All right, touchdown. We are on the ground. And now that we're here, you'll see that every one of these complex-looking maps is really just built from a handful of simple, universal symbols. Think of it as the ABCs of process modeling. Now sure, there are different dialects out there, like the more formal BPMN, but they all use the same basic alphabet. And once you learn it, you can pretty much read and create any process map out there.
First up, the good old rectangle. This is your workhorse, your bread and butter. It stands for an activity or a step. It's any single action that gets performed, like pack the order or send the email. This is the doing part of your process.
Okay, next we have the diamond. This is where things get interesting, because the diamond brings logic into the mix. It represents a decision point, a question that needs an answer. Usually, it's a simple yes or no, like, is the item in stock? And depending on that answer, the process will go down one path or another.
Then you've got the rounded rectangle. This one's all about setting boundaries. It very clearly marks the official start and the official end of your process. And this is so important. I mean, without clear start and end points, you don't really know where you are, and that's just a recipe for confusion.
And last but not least, the arrow. This is the glue that holds the whole map together. These flow lines show the direction everything moves in, connecting all the steps and decisions into a logical sequence. It's what guides you from the beginning all the way to the end.
So we've got our basic alphabet down, we know how to map what happens, but now it's time to add another absolutely crucial layer. Who is responsible for doing the work?
Okay, so let's check out a super simple map for shipping an order. We start, we pick the order, we pack it, we send it to the carrier, and then boom, it's delivered. See? It's clear, it's an order, and it's using all those basic symbols we just talked about. But hang on, look closely at this map. It raises a pretty big question, doesn't it? We can see what happens, but who is picking the order? And who's responsible for handing it off to the carrier? This map is missing a whole dimension. And the solution is actually surprisingly simple. We just introduced something called a swim lane diagram. Look at this. It's the exact same process, but now we've organized the steps into horizontal lanes.
and each lane represents a different group or different role, in this case, the warehouse and the carrier.
And just like that, everything is crystal clear. You can see instantly that the warehouse team is responsible for picking and packing, but the carrier, they're responsible for sending and delivering. By adding these simple little lanes, we've brought in a massive new dimension, accountability. There is zero ambiguity about who does what.
Okay, let's zoom all the way back out. We're heading back up to the summit. Now that we've seen this map from every possible altitude, it's time to ask the big question. So what? Why does any of this actually matter?
Look, this isn't just some tool for managers or business analysts. This is like a superpower for the entire team. When you have a common visual language like this, all that fuzzy ambiguity just vanishes. A software developer knows exactly what logic they need to code. A marketing person can actually see the customer's journey. A brand new hire can get up to speed in a few hours instead of a few weeks. It's this clarity that lets teams build better, more efficient ways of working, together.
And this quote right here, it just nails the consequences of not doing this work. Why are there so many defects? Because the requirements are not clear. And then you ask, well, why aren't they clear? The answer, no proper analysis. It's because no one took the time to draw the map so everyone could see it and agree on it.
And that, ultimately, is the real power here. Process modeling isn't some dry, technical exercise. It's a deeply human one. It's a tool for communication, for clarity, and for building genuinely better ways for all of us to work together.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question. Think about your own work, your own team, maybe even a side project you're working on. What's one complex process in your world that is just crying out for a map to make it all make sense?